With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. 3 more suspected drug-running boats have been blown out of the waters of the Eastern Pacific, international waters. 8 alleged narco-terrorists were killed. When it comes to the deadly mass shooting targeting Hanukkah celebrants on a beach in Australia, that country's police commissioner says the father and son attackers were inspired by ISIS. Germany's chancellor is optimistic about prospects for a Ukraine peace deal, and President Trump says there has been solid progress in talks aimed at ending the war, but territorial concessions by Ukraine remain a sticking point. Crews have been deploying sandbags, shoring up an earthen levee south of Seattle. A small section failed following a week of heavy rains. More evacuations have been ordered. On Wall Street, Dow futures down 14 points, NASDAQ futures off 61. More details at srnnews.com.
So Pure Talk just had their best year ever and asked me if I'd like to thank their customers on their behalf for being so awesome. I said sure. It's important to say thanks, especially this time of year, which is why, as one of their many satisfied customers, I should probably thank Pure Talk first for keeping their customer service in this country and for providing hundreds of American jobs. I appreciate that. I also appreciate their Roundup program, which makes it easy to support America's Warrior Partnership and join the fight against veteran suicide. And I love that Pure Talk donated 1,000 hand-sewn Made in America flags to veterans around Independence Day. And of course, I really appreciate their generous support of my own foundation, MicroWorks, and their commitment to help us train the next generation of skilled workers. Having said all that, it's now my pleasure, on behalf of everyone at Pure Talk, to thank you sincerely for choosing to do business with an American wireless company that actually stands for something. And one more thing. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas from the Farmers State Bank in Oakley. We invite you to stop into our lobby for coffee and cookies throughout the month of December as our small way of saying thank you to our loyal customers. We appreciate your business in 2025 and throughout our 118 years of community banking and look forward to serving you in the new year. Farmers State Bank of Oakley, member FDIC.
With NWKS Radio News, I'm Connor Shue. Yesterday, an update was given on the fatal accident that occurred on I-70 around mile marker 156 on Sunday. At 3:55 Central Time on Sunday, one man was hit and killed by a 2026 Freightliner semi on the shoulder of the highway. The victim, 37-year-old Julio Cesar Villarreal, was struck as he and 2 others, 42-year-old Randall Hilgers and 53-year-old Juan Mejia, were strapping a 2009 Tahoe to the back of a trailer when Villarreal was struck. Mejia, Hilgers, and 11-year-old Lucas Childress, who was a passenger in the truck carrying the trailer, were all uninjured, but Villarreal was unfortunately pronounced dead at the scene. The driver of the semi, Alejandro Fuentes Castro, was also uninjured in the accident. Our condolences go out to Julio Cesar Villarreal's family and friends at this time. For these and other stories, go to nwksradio.net.
Today was sunny skies, dry down, sloping west-northwesterly winds at 10 to 20 miles per hour, highs in the upper 60s. Fire weather conditions will be slightly elevated. Tonight, skies will remain clear. Winds will turn to the south around 10 miles per hour. Lows will be in the upper 20s. Tomorrow is partly cloudy with highs in the upper 60s around 70 and dry with low relative humidities. Gustier northwest winds at 25 to 45 miles per hour are possible, elevating fire weather concerns to critical levels. Lows will be around 30. Then tomorrow night, Thursday morning, a high wind watch with the frontal passage. Northwest winds gusting 40 to 60 miles per hour and blowing dust is possible. Thursday is very windy with damaging gusts 50 to 75 miles per hour. Strong possibility of a blowing dust storm. Highs will be much colder, low to mid 40s, and overnight lows dropping to around 20. Friday, highs will rebound to 60s to lower 70s. And this meteorologist Chris Romick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Are pests making your home or business uncomfortable? Call Pestaway in Goodland, Kansas, serving all of Northwest Kansas. They provide top-notch pest control services to keep your space safe and pest-free. From ants to rodents, termites to spiders, our expert team is here to help with effective, safe, and affordable pest control solutions. Don't wait. Call Pestaway today at 785-728-7166 for fast, reliable service. Your home or business deserves the best protection.
This holiday season, jolly old St. Nick and his helpful elves at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware are stocked up and ready to make Christmas merry and bright. From festive decor and handy tools to gift cards and great stocking stuffers, they've got something for everyone. Go bigger with Traeger or Weber grills or even Blackstone griddles, Yeti coolers, or powerful Ego snowblowers that make winter easy. Make holiday shopping simple. Shop local at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby.
When you gotta go, but there's nowhere to go, who you gonna call? Topside Portables and Pumping, that's who. Weddings, job sites, farm parties, they've got clean, reliable porta potties that don't stink, literally. And if your septic tank smells worse than last year's chili cook-off, they'll pump it out fast. No mess, no fuss. Family owned, Heartland values, always ready. Call 785-728-8089. That's 728-8089. Topside Portables and Pumping. When duty calls, they answer.
The holiday season just got brighter at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Wrap up the year with 0% for 36 months on all 2026 Chevrolet Trailblazer and Equinox models. Or slide into a new GMC, 1.9% for 36 months on a 26 Arcadia, plus up to $7,000 in rebates on a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 Elevation with Turbo Max with eligible trade-in. Big savings, big style, and big holiday cheer. Only at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Stop in today or visit online at hurlchev.com.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4! It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
If you want to win in football, it all starts up front. Mass kicks ass.
And Connor Shue.
He's the new guy.
The High Plains only local sports talk show. Broadcasting live on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 and video streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
They're basically idiots.
Covering it all from the preps.
Up ahead to Blair Lennon. Lennon the crossover back to Cure. Hello, boom! A two-handed tomahawk flush.
To the pros.
Shotgun snap to Nix. Protection is good. Bolden loads it up. He's got it. A receiver there. Franklin makes the catch in the end zone. Touchdown, Denver.
The Blitz is presented by Hurl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank. Along with
Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell, the Insurance Agency, Pestaway LLC, Topside Portables and Pumping, and the Farmer State Bank in Oakley.
Let's go to work.
Rodgers under center, crouching, gets the snap. He'll fake the handoff. He'll drop back 7, wind up, pass down the middle, caught at the goal line, in stride. It's a touchdown. Grabbed by Marquez Valdez. Scantling deflected and taken away by Harden. With Aldama to beat, behind the back to Collins. Oh, he serves it up on Aldama.
Murray working on Sengun. Murray. Oh, he got it to go.
They rush 5. There's the snap. Line drive down the middle. Backpedaling catch made at the 15. Metcalf breaks a tackle at the 10. The 5. Touchdown, Pittsburgh. Metcalf throwing bodies aside like the ragdolls.
Happy pass finding Stutzla. He's in with Kachuk. It's Kachuk. He scores! Hey, hey! What do you say? Brady Kachuk. The captain gets it done. The Senators win in overtime.
And good Tuesday morning. Welcome inside the Morning Blitz here on this Tuesday, December the 16th. Sunny and 39 to get this day going on our way to a high of 62. But glad you decided to join us here, no matter if it's on Goodland's Rocket 1025 or audio streaming on NWKSradio.net. And, of course, the Hurl Chevrolet GMC on Hurl Chevrolet GMC YouTube video stream on Facebook, X, and YouTube. Appreciate you coming in and being a part of the program here on this day. Speaking of the weather, I did notice this morning. I want to get this out as quickly as I can. Wednesday, pretty much afternoon through, it looks like, early parts of Thursday, and possibly even early afternoon. Very windy here in the tri-state region, so be aware of that. So as the great Curtis Duncan would say, it could be a 3-hat day coming up starting Wednesday into Thursday. That's what he would say. So Connor Shue, of course, along with us from Colby. Good morning, sir. How are we feeling today? It's game day.
It is game day, Colby basketball on, and I feel like now I've got to wear 3 hats for the rest of the week.
Yes, you need to wear 3 hats. Say, if you come in, it'll be a good joke. They'll look at you weird, but then you tell them, well, Curtis told me it was going to be a 3-hat day. So, yes, the great Curtis Duncan, rest in peace. But anyway, nonetheless, we got a lot show to get to today. New guest today, Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald is going to join us. Big news yesterday out of the University of Nebraska. Quarterback Dylan Raiola is entering the portal. He will join us to discuss that and many other topics. The great news of Nebraska men's basketball being ranked number 15. We'll get to all that coming up, maybe even touch on some volleyball and what happened on Sunday with Nebraska volleyball coming up a bit short of the ultimate goal, I believe, of winning a national championship, but they didn't even make it to the Final Four. So we got all that to get to coming up in today's program, along with we have a picks update after last night's Monday Night Football game. The Steelers routed the Dolphins. It just proves once again that Miami does not like to play in the cold. It is pretty obvious that they do not want to play in the cold. They would much rather just say, we'll lose every cold game. Just let us play in the warm weather.
They somehow got a win in the cold against the Jets, but I guess it's the Jets. So
it's the Jets.
Kind of a null point.
They're not very inspired. The Steelers are trying to win the AFC North, which looks like they're getting a tighter grip on it every single second. And it's not, I don't want to say, I didn't watch a ton of the game last night. I mean, it's fine football. I don't want to say it's like dominant football. I don't know if the Steelers are going to be a team we're going to be talking about in the Super Bowl or anything like that, but they're getting some things done there. There is high school hoops tonight, which we will dive into a little bit as well, a little bit later on. KU basketball playing tonight as well, hosting Towson. So we'll get to all that coming up on today's program. But new segment here to start the day. Sometimes on Tuesdays, we just try to find something that we want to talk about, and hopefully it sticks. And so today's first segment, I'm going to do Tuesday questions. And so Connor's got a couple questions. I have a question to ask. And so if you want to chime in on the F&B Bank text line at 785-899-2222, we'd love to hear your thoughts and comments, not only about this, but throughout the show, as we did the past few days. It's been great to hear from the texters throughout this program. We actually already have a couple of texts coming in. First and foremost, Officer Jared chiming in. Let's see here. Not a Husker fan, but damn, Ross, Dylan Dunn screwed over Nebraska. Wow, what a joke. I've got more thoughts on that coming up in a little bit there, Jared. We'll get to more on that. Let's see. And of course, Kyle, our resident super fan for Fort Hays State, says, how good are the men's and women's basketball teams for the Tigers this year? Both winning records, both atop the conference. And of course, Goodland's Telex leader proving she could be the best scorer in D1 and D2. Possibly. We'll see. I said it many times. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I said it at the end of last year when she was kind of getting, she was really kind of coming into her own at the end of last season. And I said, it would not surprise me one bit if she is the MIAA player of the year at some point in time of her career. It might just be this year. And it wouldn't also surprise me if she wants to, and I've heard, her coach, Bill Bierman in high school say, it wouldn't surprise me if she's one of the best players to ever play at Fort Hays State, if she wants to hang around there as long, or if there's teams calling that want to possibly see her go up and play at a bigger level. We'll see. So we'll find. We heard Bill Bierman talk about that when he joined us a couple weeks ago. He said, when I went and watched him play against Kansas, she was the third best player on the floor. That's with Kansas, and
that's incredible.
So she's a phenomenal basketball player. Is to Lex Weeder. She provided a lot of great memories for yours truly, probably watching her at the state basketball tournaments, including that 4-point shot that she made, 4-point play that she made in the game against Silver Lake, where she dropped a 30-burger in that, which was a lot of fun. So nonetheless, yes, Kyle, and the men's and women's teams are really good. They've got great coaching. That helps out a lot. And when you get the train kind of rolling at Division II, and you can bring in, kind of what the pieces that you want to bring in recruiting-wise, you can have a lot of success. It's not like this is just a surprise this year that these programs are good. They've been good in previous years towards the top of the league. And if you get the right combo, you go from being in the top of the league to the top of the league. But it's still early on in the season. We will see. We'll have to have our good friend Rusty Groffalo on again, talk about the success of Fort Hays State men's basketball at this point in time. Anyway, let's get to Tuesday questions here on the Morning Blitz. If you'd like to, once again, continue to chime in on the EpiBank text line, 785-899-2222. Connor, you had a few questions to get to this morning. Where do you want to start? I'll let you take the lead here.
Well, since it kind of falls into where our conversation was for most of yesterday, we can kind of put a bow on it with where do the Chiefs go from here? They're 6-8, confirmed missing the playoffs, and this is the first time their future has, I'd say, really been in limbo for a long time since Patty Mahomes was drafted.
By the way, Patrick Mahomes did have successful surgery to repair a torn ACL and LCL in his left knee yesterday. I believe down in Dallas, Texas is where he had that done. So he has done, and he will begin off-season rehab to try and make it back for a good portion of the 2026 season. Well, I'll let you take the floor. Where do you think they go from here? Where do you think the Chiefs go from here? I have my own thoughts, but what do you think?
It's hard to say because I think there's an argument to where you could blow it. I don't know if there's even an argument to blow it up. I mean, maybe you trade some of those guys that are at the end of their contracts, like a Trent McDuffie, maybe a guy like a Chris Jones, who knows if he really wants to still be there, especially with where the team is right now. But I say you try to hold on to Mahomes because who's to say there isn't a second act like there was with Tom Brady after his big injury he had in the middle of his career. And what was that, like 2008, 2009? And then he went on to have a ton more success after that. So I feel like in the way that the Patriots did that and kind of held on, I feel like the Chiefs should do the same because I feel like that's pretty comparable in terms of where they are right now as a team, kind of in the middle of that dynasty time, but a bit of a lull, obviously, this year not making the playoffs. But I think they should hold on to Mahomes, try to build on their skill positions, and honestly try and run it back. I don't see why not.
I think you got to go through a little bit of a reshift. I would agree. And our friend Nick Athens said this yesterday, so I'm not saying anything that hasn't been said already. Jared H chimes in and says you start by blowing up the coaching staff and then restructuring the roster. I don't want to go into the coaching staff a whole lot. Maybe you make some changes there, sure. This is where I want to see if Brett Veach can do it again, because Brett Veach was kind of the one that I feel like really got the Chiefs going in the right direction. You know, they went and got a Tyreek Hill. They went and drafted a Patrick Mahomes. They drafted a Chris Jones. They found all these guys and brought them in, and then the coaches then developed them into the players that they are. I think if you're the Chiefs, you're going to trade away, like you said, your Trent McDuffie type players, things of that sort, guys that are getting, I'm going to say this in guys that are just maybe on the tail end of their contracts, as you said, maybe getting a little bit longer in the tooth. Trade them away for any draft capital that you can get. And then you go out and you draft younger, and hopefully Brett Veach with his scouting department, they do a great job of putting together a great draft class or classes over the course of the next couple of years to put those things together. No, Patrick Mahomes, I would be stunned if he's anywhere else than a Kansas City Chief when he wants to hang up his cleats. I would be stunned. So he's going to hang around. He's going to be there. You heard our good friend Nick Athens say we got to redo some contract restructuring. We need to get some things reworked, and I think they're going to have to do that. I don't think they make a ton of changes on the offensive line, maybe bring in one piece, but I think they actually have 4 really good pieces when they're all healthy. Now, they haven't been all healthy this year, and that's just part of the bad luck of football at times. Sometimes you just get injured in the wrong spots. So I think the offensive line is actually not that terrible, but the defense needs to get younger in some spots. And they have to go out and get a running back. And I think they have to have a change in philosophy. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. In my opinion, it's the biggest change. The last few years, ever since Patrick Mahomes, he's proven he can do it all. He can throw it. He can run it. He can extend plays. He can elude pressure. He can do all that stuff. Let's start, and the best way I'm going to put this is let's start treating Patrick Mahomes with a little bit of kids' gloves. A little bit. Let's just try it out. Let's just say We don't want him to have to do all that stuff all the time. Let's become a really good team at running the football. So let's go out and draft a Jeremiah Love or whoever you might want to come across that you like, or maybe you go out and you get a free agent or something that you like and bring them into the mix and get a running game going that is good. Get your offensive line firing out more instead of dropping back to pass all the time. Become a little bit more of a physical football team in the running game, and then allow Patrick Mahomes to then make his plays when he has to. Instead of him always having to make the plays, just allow him to make it when he absolutely has to. I think that would be a great start offensively. The Chiefs got to take less. They got to take they got to take a lot more pressure and less and responsibility off of Patrick Mahomes' shoulders a little bit. He can't feel like he has to do everything. He needs help. I still think they have decent wide receivers, even though they've dropped some balls, and they need to get. And I'd like to see Jared Wiley get some more looks. I think he's a really good tight end, but they need to get some other guys in the mix. But I think the biggest thing for me is they got to rely more on a running game and not so much on Patrick Mahomes all the time in both areas, running and passing.
Yeah, I'm with you on improving the running game for sure. And there are some really good running backs coming up in this draft. And obviously, the nature of the position these days, guys aren't going to get picked crazy high, I would say. I mean, I think it depends how high Jeremiah Love's going to get picked, because obviously I think he's the best running back in the draft, but our team's really going to be taking him top 10, top 15. Probably not.
Depends on what you think.
Unless you're the Raiders and you're taking Ashton Genty last year.
It's kind of been a resurgence. You know, there were those few years where you're exactly right. No one took a running back until late in the second round or third rounds because the value was not there. And that really hasn't changed a lot, but you have seen guys get drafted a little bit higher here the last few years. I don't know. It just depends. It depends on what you need and how you think they're going to fit your system. And tell you, the Chiefs have been pretty good for many years about finding guys that fit their system and go from there.
Yeah, and I think I'm more worried about their receiving core than you are, I think. I mean, Rashee Rice is awesome, but Worthy is getting, I mean, he's had some injury trouble. He could be really good and a really solid number 2. But other than those guys, I mean, Kelsey's getting up there. He's still shown some signs of his old self this year and has still been good at points. But other than those,
I just think they've relied too much on him.
I mean, yeah, I guess, but it's like.
Plus, receivers are a dime a dozen, dude. You can go out and find receivers anywhere. They're anywhere.
I don't know about that. I feel like that's the running back position, because there's a lot of guys you can plug and play that are at least like they're solid. And if you put a good offensive line in front of them, they can get you decent numbers. I think that's different with the receiver position, because, I mean, if receivers were so dime a dozen, then I think every team would have a couple of guys that are probably putting up numbers, but that's not the truth. And the Chiefs should, I think, prioritize going after like a decent receiver, maybe like a couple guys who can compete for a wide receiver 3 spot. I don't have any names in mind. I don't know what the free agent pool is going to look like, but I'm sure there's some serviceable guys that can go out there, give you a nice 600, 700 yards and just be, I don't know, get like a good possession receiver or something to play off the speed of Worthy and the route running of Rice. I think that would be good.
I think they can probably find that, probably either in the draft or maybe they have a guy on the roster that they need maybe it's Royals or something like that they got to go take care of. I don't know, but it's going to be hard to find out those guys and how they work with Patrick Mahomes when he's, it's not out there, and it's going to be Gardner Minshew for the foreseeable future. Let's move on. Another question. I got to get to this question here because this is what I was thinking of doing today was talking. And the way I worded the question is kind of dumb. I'm not going to lie, but the way I want to put it is, do college sports have heroes or legends in today's era, particularly if you're a fan of a particular team? So let's say you're a fan of Ohio State. Do you have, and this is a bad example because Ohio State is different than anybody else, but if you are a fan of, let's just say whatever program you are a fan of, are there heroes and legends in today's era? Or because of the transfer portal, are they no longer really a thing? Remember those guys, that came in as freshmen and maybe they redshirted and they worked their way up. And then, 4 years later, 5 years later, they were graduating on senior day. And the crowd went nuts for them on senior day because they put so much into their program and helped bring them wherever and so on and so forth. Are there heroes and legends in today's era?
Yeah, absolutely. There's not as many as there were before, obviously, with the nature of the transfer portal. But it doesn't even have to be guys who stay all 4 years, I think. I mean, it can at least be, maybe the definition changes a little bit these days. It can be guys who stay 3 years. For example, for Ohio State, once Jeremiah Smith goes to the draft after his junior year next year, that is a legend right there. And you can't dispute that. And I think you can look across the college football landscape, and you're not going to find a guy like that for every single team. But I bet if you look hard enough, you're going to find a good handful of guys that are considered legends for their teams. And even guys who do come out of the transfer portal for other teams. Like, I know he's only been there 2 years and his reputation is pretty up in the air, but for what he's done for the program of Vanderbilt, I think maybe there's an argument you could say, hey, Pavia is a Vanderbilt legend.
Yeah,
that dude has helped bring them the most success they've had in a long time. So, yeah.
You're exactly right. It's a different form. And if you're going to be a legend, you're going to probably have to win. And it doesn't matter, actually. It's still the same. If you're a legend, that usually means that you did something of importance. That usually means winning in sports. And so, yeah, Diego Pavia might have only been at Vanderbilt for 2 or 3 years, but he is a legend in that he took them to heights that they've never seen. Kind of the same thing for Fernando Mendoza. He only is going to be at Indiana for probably a year, but he won a Heisman Trophy and got Indiana to a spot they'd never been. There are legends. I think it's hard. I just go back to the news of Dylan Raiola leaving Nebraska. He came in and people thought, oh, he'll come here and we'll have great success. They had some success, didn't have great success. He's leaving now to go someplace else. So be it. But I feel like that's the era. Unless you come in and you win, you're not going to be a legend. And, there's in some places, there's names on the sides of stadiums of guys. There's numbers retired, players and honored throughout the year. I don't know if we're going to see much of that anymore. And it's going to be so different. It's just so different. Guys that didn't come and actually do think about it from the perspective of the athlete. They're coming in and they might have 1 year or 2 years at a place, but you don't have those great relationships that you used to have, where you grew up with a class and came together and things of that sort and graduate. It's just so different. And I'm not going to say it's terrible because it's just the way it is, but it's just so different. And I guess that was my question. Yeah, Jeremiah Smith is probably going to be a legend in Ohio, at Ohio State. He is going to be a legend in those realms. And Ohio State is kind of a poor deal because I feel like once you go to Ohio State, there's really, unless you're not good enough to cut it there, you're going to probably stay there
for the most part. And that's kind of to your point of guys staying with the same class for 4 years, because there are a handful of guys like that at Ohio State right now who are starters on that defense. Sonny Styles, one of the starting linebackers, and he's the guy who wears the block O this year for Ohio State. Him and a couple of guys in the D-line, Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry, seniors. Those guys might have some stamps on the side of the stadium or wherever it may be. There's the Buckeye Grove behind the stadium where they have all the All-Americans and bricks, and they plant trees for some of the Buckeye legends. I think Sonny Styles is going to get a tree, for example.
Yeah, man, there's probably still are. If you want to answer this, there's still going to be legends. It's just different. It used to be guys that came and gave their entire career for one program, and now they could give it for 2 or 3. and unless they have great success, they're at one of those stops. They're probably not going to be legends per se. Brian, FB Bank text line says, "Is Avery Johnson a legend? He came in for Will Howard. Avery Johnson is not a legend yet, in my opinion. Brian hasn't won enough. So no, I would say he's not. Jared says that Jeremiah Smith only a legend in Ohio.
I think that's just the haterism talking right there. He doesn't get it.
Other Jared H says, talking about the Chiefs. The Chiefs have Thornton as a deep threat, and they don't know what Royal is. Hopefully they'll use these last 3 games to find out. Very true. I would agree, Jared. FE Bank text line 785-899-2222. I would love to talk about Nebraska basketball and are they for real? We could probably do that real quickly. They've so far, I don't know what else to say. In about a minute or 30 seconds here, I'd say, yeah, they are for real. I mean, you go on the road at win at Illinois. That's a humongous win for them. They've started 2-0 in conference play. I guess it depends on what your definition of real is, Connor Shue. This was Connor's question, by the way.
I think it's, can they stay in the top 25 and be, I don't know about a national title contender, but a legit, like, okay, this is like a 4-seed or a 3-seed in the NBA tournament. And I think that all hinges on whether their offense can keep being as good as it is. And if they can keep shooting 48% from the floor as a team, it's possible. We'll
Possible.
see.
Their defense has been elite. It's been very, very good defensively. They've been fantastic defensively. Defense travels, as they say, but you're right. They're going to have to make shots as the season progresses on. And so far through these 11 games, they've made shots, and that's pretty much a third of the season. A little bit, maybe a little bit less than that. So we'll see as it continues on. A huge game coming up on January. I think it's the 2nd. I think it is. The Friday, January the 2nd. Michigan State comes to Lincoln. We'll see if Nebraska can match the toughness there against Tom Izzo and his Spartans. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with Evan Bland, Omaha World Herald. We'll get his thoughts on Nebraska basketball a little bit and touch on some other things, including the Dylan Raiola transfer and where Nebraska goes from here. And I have an opinion or a thought on stuff that happened with the Nebraska football program during the Dylan Raiola era. We'll get to all that next here on a Tuesday edition of the Morning Blitz.
We've been serving ag families for generations because we believe farming isn't just a job, it's a legacy. Whether you're just starting out or expanding your operation, F&B Bank has flexible lending solutions designed for you. This is Loan Officer Kennedy Frank at F&B Bank. We're proud to be your hometown ag lender, member FDIC.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
This is Austin Wright, the Anderson Trade Group in your morning market update. It is December 16th. March corn, 438.5. May corn, 446 1/4. July corn, 452.5. March KC wheat, 508 3/4. May KC wheat, 520 3/4. July KC wheat, 534 3/4. January soybeans, 1072.5. March 26 soybeans, 1081.5. May 26 soybeans, 1093. Dow Jones futures are currently down 62 points at 48,776. S&P 500 futures are currently down 17 points at 6,863. NASDAQ futures are currently down 105 points at 25,237. Gold is currently up $8.30 at 4,343. And crude is currently down $1.32 at 55.51. For your grain marketing needs or more information on our freedom pricing tools, you can reach the Kansas City office, Jared Law, Tyler Gosch, Tom Saludo at 913-748-3000. In Colorado, John Hankey and John Stiles, 970-744-4484.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
Is also the ideal platform for private treaty sales and timed online only auctions. There's no easier way to find buyers for cattle, horses, sheep, and hay. Sell on your terms today with LivestockMarket.com.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, and cleaner American fuel. This message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
You're listening to the High Plains only local sports talk show.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
The Morning Blitz.
Once again, just want to remind folks, coming up on Wednesday, very much afternoon, going into Thursday, going to be some very, very high winds throughout the tri-state region. So be aware of that. So winds anywhere from, I think, 60 to possibly 80 miles per hour at some point in time. So be prepared for some very, very windy situations Wednesday and then going on into Thursday. We're pleased to welcome into the program a guy I've followed for a long time. On social media and through the Omaha World Herald. He's kind enough to join us now on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. Evan Bland joins us now. Evan, good morning. Thank you so much for getting up with us. Really appreciate it.
You got it, Ross. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Evan, what's been the reaction to the Dylan Raiola news leaving Nebraska here over the last, now almost 24 hours?
It's interesting because I think if you're a national college football fan and you saw news like what happened Monday, you think, oh boy, Nebraska's in some trouble here. The former 5 stars moving on. What are they going to do? I think locally, this is not necessarily a surprise. This is something that's been sort of festering for a few weeks. I think ultimately relief is the word that kind of comes to mind for me, where, Nebraska and Dylan Raiola, it kind of felt like there had been a ceiling that they reached together. And, it's a decent ceiling relative to what the program's been. You're talking about 2 consecutive winning seasons for the first time in more than a decade. And they were respectable in pretty much all their games this year. But, for Raiola and his aspirations to try to get to the NFL, Nebraska didn't surround him with enough talent, with enough wins to this point to get where he wants to be. And I think for Nebraska, they started to realize with some of their shortcomings that you need a guy who's a little bit more mobile than what Dylan Raiola is too. So, now he gets a chance to look around the market and find a school that maybe better suits his talents, and Nebraska gets to decide whether it wants to move forward with TJ Lateef, who started a handful of games this year as a freshman, and give him the keys to the car, or bring in a high-priced transfer portal candidate here in the next month or so. So I think there's sort of a sense that maybe both sides maxed out with the other, and part of that's just college football too, and it'll be really fascinating to see where the two sides go from here.
When you look at this team and choosing whether it's Lateef or another guy out of the portal, do you think it's better for the team if they get another guy in to make more of a quarterback competition?
Well, you're going to have somebody. I mean, your current backup, Jalen Gramstad, is a senior. He's going to be gone. At this point, you're talking about coming back with a guy, Marcos Davila, who was a Purdue transfer, who's still an underclassman, hasn't taken a snap at Nebraska. And just by the nature of how TJ Lateef plays as a running quarterback, like you need other guys in that room as safety nets, if nothing else. We saw it in the Iowa game where Lateef pulls a hamstring right away, and that limited what Nebraska could do in that last game on Black Friday. So, I mean, really the question is going to be, does Nebraska go in the portal for some younger prospect types and bring in maybe a guy or two on a discount to compete with Lateef, and maybe they can develop and, come along over the course of a few years? Or do you shell out for somebody who would command a salary comparable to what Dylan Raiola had? Do you chase the Brendan Sorsbys and the DJ Lagways of the world to try to bring in somebody to start next year. So I think that's kind of where they are at this point. They didn't sign a quarterback in the 26 class. Dayton Raiola had been that guy. He decommitted last month. They kind of started us down this road a little bit. But I think that's kind of where it is for Nebraska. Is how do you prioritize the quarterback position? Because you have a lot of other needs, especially on the offensive and defensive lines, as you start to restock this roster for 2026.
Evan Bland, our guest, Omaha World Herald. Evan, I want you to just kind of roll with me here. I have a big picture thought on this whole thing that happened with Dylan Raiola and Matt Rhule. As we've noticed here over the last couple of weeks, Matt Rhule has decided to change up his staff, particularly along the trenches, offensive and defensive lines, and defensive coordinator and things of that sort. He's made some changes, and we all know that the story is Matt Rhule is always great in his third year. He always makes a big jump, all that stuff in previous stops. The third year is the deal. Do you feel like Dylan Raiola maybe threw a wrench into Matt Rhule's original plan? Like Matt Rhule is used to bringing in a bunch of young players, developing them over time, and then peaking, in that third or fourth year. Do you and doing it with a physical style of football, running the football, playing good defense, that kind of stuff? Do you feel like when Dylan Raiola said that he would come to Nebraska, was interested, do you think that maybe threw a wrench into how? Because then Nebraska became more focused on pleasing him than doing what exactly Matt Rhule has known for doing, being a more physical football team, if you get my question there?
Yeah, well, I mean, you go back to that December when Dylan flipped. Like, before he did that, Nebraska had brought in Kyle McCord, who was an older transfer who would have had 1 year left for that 24 season, and it would have allowed you to bring in maybe another younger guy. They had Daniel Kalin in there at the time, who was an in-state quarterback, who they liked longer term, kind of more of a toughness kind of guy than somebody who just oozed with talent. But when Raiola, pretty much on his own, came back around and said, "I want to be a Husker," like if you're Matt Rhule, you can't say no to the 5-star legacy kid. Like, and so in some ways, that decision was taken away from him as far as what Nebraska wanted to do. So really, like, if you think about his 3 years at Nebraska, I don't know that we've really had a year yet where the offense has looked like he would have wanted it to look. Like, you think back to 23, and it was Jeff Sims who became a turnover machine, and they had to go to option style with Heinrich Harburg, and that didn't really work out. And then, you go with Raiola, who was the pure pocket passer type. That doesn't work out to the point to where they bring in Dana Holgorsen essentially off the street last November. And then this year, they just, they didn't have enough talent to surround what Dylan wanted to do. I thought defenses could key on, Emmett Johnson a little bit more. And when Raiola did have the ball, they could drop back and stop the pass because they weren't worried about him running with his legs. And so, I think, like, moving forward with a different style of quarterback, TJ Lateef kind of fits that mold that you're talking about, like a guy who was a touted prospect, but by all accounts is very low maintenance. He's one of the guys, like, he's not a guy that you're going to have to cater to or worry about necessarily if you're Nebraska. So I think, that's kind of why I say it's sort of a relief in some senses, because, it does feel like there's a freedom here to kind of reset and reimagine what the offense can be without worrying about what it means for the one individual who's taking the football and passing it. So we'll see what direction they go. I would anticipate it would be more of a mobile attack. But again, you do that, and Nebraska knows well from having mobile quarterbacks through the years, like, you're going to be more prone to injury and more prone to turnovers in those scenarios. So you need a little bit of depth too. And I think that's kind of where they are right now is you're going to need more bodies in that room. And suddenly that portal window for January just got a lot more interesting.
Evan Bland continue to be our guest from the Omaha World Herald, talking Nebraska athletics. One more on football from me. The money that, a couple weeks ago, probably not more of a month or so ago, Matt Rhule said something along the lines, we have all the financial backing that we need to do what we want to do. What do you think he means, and how do you think that looks when it comes to the portal opening and the pieces that they want to go out and get?
Yeah, I mean, to break it down, like it's rev share. That's the first part, and this is the first off season where teams are able to pay players directly. And for Nebraska, it's pretty standard, as with most of your power conference teams. That's going to be around $15 million, and then the rest of the 20.5 goes to other sports. So 15 or 16 million to football, whether that's retaining the guys that you have or going out and adding guys. And then the other piece that Nebraska has really been intentional about beefing up this offseason has been about redirecting funds related to multimedia rights from the school and toward players. So Nebraska is essentially encouraging its sponsors to say, hey, we don't do deals with us as Nebraska, do deals with our individual guys, because that's going to strengthen the team and strengthen the brand. So that's a big part of what they're doing. And so now you're able to go out and spend above the cap, so to speak. So it's the rev share piece, and then it's the quote unquote true NIL dollars that Nebraska feels like it has. And so it's a compelling case when you talk about a school that now has the money to be competitive with anybody nationally. It's going to be able to offer playing time at all these positions that it's putting out there. That's going to be key. And then you've got the things that have swayed recruits to Nebraska for years, the fan support and the academics. The facilities are still brand new and really among the best in the country. So Nebraska is set up to be a very attractive destination for a lot of these top places. And, they have a lot of work to do, quite honestly. You look at their 2026 class that they just finished up, for the most part, 9 or 10 guys that they brought in, and they were quality 10, but that's not a group that's going to flip your fortunes for next season. So it's a critical month coming up here in terms of who can you keep the guys that you want, and then can you go out and address some needs, and it's a long list: offensive line, defensive line, running back, probably linebacker, maybe a receiver, quarterback for certain. It's going to be a really busy couple of weeks here in Lincoln coming up.
So switching gears for a second to the basketball world, when's the last time you've seen Nebraska faithful this excited about hoops?
Oh boy. I mean, probably the 90s, something, maybe when they won the NIT in the mid 90s. It's a totally different deal. Absolutely. And to me, it was that Illinois game really legitimized what this team could be, because we've seen lesser Nebraska basketball teams perform well at Pinnacle Bank Arena at home. Like that crowd always shows up, and it's worth an upset or two every year. And the way that they beat Wisconsin by 30 was notable. But I thought that Illinois game, when they were able to go to Champaign against the top 15 team and build a lead and lose a lead and build a lead and then hang on and hit that shot at the end to walk them off from Jamarcus Lawrence, like that to me says this Nebraska team could be for real. And, for real in Lincoln, it starts now with, can you win a tournament game? And they're undefeated. They're obviously in strong position to make the big dance at this point. But that's kind of the goal. That's been the goal for a long time around the Nebraska basketball offices, is can you do it in the NCAA tournament? Can you get off the schneid there? And I think fans always follow this team. They followed it loyally through a lot of lean years, and the excitement level's extremely high. Everyone's now looking to that January 2nd home game against Michigan State, another, I believe, top 10 current team currently right now that's coming to town here in a couple of weeks. So the excitement level's high. It's a team that's fun to watch. It's personable. It's a mix of toughness and finesse. I think when you talk about their ability to shoot the three, and it's a pretty neat deal that these fans get another couple of months at least with this group of guys, because I think they're making what could have been a pretty cold football off season just a little bit warmer right now.
Evan Bland, Omaha World Herald. Evan, I'll let you go on this. I wanted to know a little bit more, piggybacking off that. What is the one reason why this Nebraska basketball team could be the one that's that does something that's never been done? What's the one reason in your mind that this could be the team that does it?
Well, I think there are two qualities to me that they have that have always been valuable in college basketball, but that are even more valuable in this current era. I think one is they're old. Like, you look up and down the roster, these are not, former high school guys. Like, these are guys who are 21, 22. Rick Mast has been around a long time. Price Sanford, Sam Hoiberg. Like, these are guys who can go out and get jobs tomorrow if they were done with their careers. And so I think that maturity shows up in tough spots. I think they don't make it bigger than it is. And then I think the other thing is, like, it's a group of guys that know their roles and guys who are comfortable in just being glue guys, essentially. I mean, Hoiberg's that way. Cal Jacobson's that way. Barricade Buchengel's that way. Like, guys who, they might not play a ton necessarily, and they might, they're just not looking for their stats. They're going to be the guy who facilitates, or the guy who gets a rebound, or the guy who is cool setting up his teammates. Like, I think those two things in the portal era, when everyone's so focused on what's in it for them, like this, there's a selflessness or a collective kind of mindset to this Nebraska team that's different, quite honestly, than what a lot of these past Husker squads have had, especially under Fred Hoiberg and Tim Miles before that. So, that's the kind of mentality I think that helps you weather kind of the grind of the Big Ten, that makes it so even when you do lose a game, like, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't snowball. And so, they still haven't lost a game since they went to Las Vegas and won the crown last year. Pretty remarkable. And we'll see how far that momentum goes. But I think the mindset is there that would tell you that this is sustainable for another couple of months, certainly to get to the NCAA tournament and see what they can do.
Evan Bland, the Omaha World Herald. Evan, thank you so much for taking some time with us here on this Tuesday. Really appreciate joining us. We'll have you on again soon.
Sounds good, Ross. Thanks.
Once again, great stuff there from Evan Bland, Omaha World Herald. Great to hear his voice. I've listened to a whole bunch of podcasts and stuff that have him on. He's great information, and I really appreciate him. They call him the silver-tongued Evan Bland. At least that's right, because he's so smooth talking, Evan Bland. So we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll have a quick quick update on the record of the picks overall. Connor will get us that. We'll snap into some high school hoops talk real quick and wrap it up with some KU basketball tonight at home hosting Towson. Some news out of the KU basketball program yesterday. That's next here in the Morning Blitz.
Hey kids, Santa Claus is going to be on the radio on Thursday from 5:30 to 7:30. Reading letters you mail to him care of the radio station. Have your parents go to nwksradio.net for more info.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. This is Santa Claus, and I'll be right here on the radio this coming Thursday to read your letters.
Yay, Santa! Merry Christmas!
This season, upgrade your holidays at Viera Wireless. Right now, get 4 iPhone 17s on us when you add 4 lines of Better Unlimited for just $100 a month. But we're not stopping there. Get 6 months of ad-free Netflix or a qualifying streaming service when you purchase Viera Best or Ultra Internet. Give the whole family the gifts they've been waiting for. More phones, more streaming, more savings. Upgrade your holidays today at Viera Wireless. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
A storm's rolling in, and Farmer Dale's bargain barn is wobbling like Jell-O at a rodeo.
I knew I shouldn't have gone with Discount Dave.
But wait, what's that in the sky?
Never fear, Superfan, the Morton Man is here. Your trusses are toast, your steel is sad, but I've got 26-gauge strength and laminated justice.
Another building saved. Another farmer regret-free.
Don't just build like a hero with Superfan, the Morton Man.
The holiday season just got brighter at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Wrap up the year with 0% for 36 months on all 2026 Chevrolet Trailblazer and Equinox models. Or slide into a new GMC, 1.9% for 36 months on a 26 Arcadia, plus up to $7,000 in rebates on a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 Elevation with Turbo Max with eligible trade-in. Big savings, big style, and big holiday cheer. Only at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Stop in today or visit online at hurlchev.com.
That thump your dryer's making? It's not keeping the beat, it's crying for help. Goodland Furniture and Sleep Center now offers appliance repair serving homes all across Northwest Kansas. Here's the best part. You don't have to buy it from them to have them fix it. Washers, dryers, fridges, stoves. If it's on the fritz, they're on their way. They know it's been hard to find repair help around here in the tri-state area, so they're stepping up. Give them a call today and schedule an appointment. Goodland Furniture and Sleep Center, where your appliances get a second chance to behave.
Want to be part of the Morning Blitz?
Sometime I'll give you a piece of my mind, like right now.
Send your thoughts to the F&B Bank text line at 785-899-2222.
All right, wrapping up a show here on a Tuesday. 5 minutes left to go. Last night, a dominant win for the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Miami Dolphins, 28-15. And trust me, the 15 points was a late garbage 15. It was 28-3 most of that contest. Steelers get the win. How did that affect our picks for the weekend?
That added a win for both of us. We picked the Steelers spread, and they covered that, well, easily, to say the least. So, official numbers after this week: you were 10-5, I was 9-6. You are now 62-65. I'm 59-68. So, got some work to do.
That was a good weekend by both, but 10-5 is a stellar record. It's a well done record.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
It's pretty darn good considering some of the stuff that we have seen. Tonight, high school hoops returns after a busy weekend of tournament action around the listening area. Some games include Shiloh hosting Rollins County, Wallace County hosting Weskin, St. Francis hosting Wheeling Grinnell, Decatur Community visiting Hill City, Tri-Plains Brewster at Greeley County, Oakley hosts Hoxie tonight, and you've got Goodland hosting Scott City at the Max Jones Fieldhouse, and Colby at the Event Center hosting Holcomb. Any thoughts on this matchup here? Confidence has got to be pretty high for especially the Colby boys, I would say. Colby girls, though, did get a win to wrap up the top side.
It's going to be tough for both teams, I think. If I'm not mistaken, Holcomb is undefeated on both their girls and boys basketball teams.
And both ranked in the top 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Boys are third. Girls are also right up there. But I mean, you said it. I think I'm a little more confident in the Colby boys. They showed a little bit more, but talking to Coach Stevens yesterday, talked about how fast Holcomb is. They're on the smaller side. I think their tallest kid's like 6'2", but they can run with anybody. So if Colby can keep up with them in transition and kind of keep them in front of them, I like their chances.
The key I have always seen when it comes to Holcomb is you got to be ready for the first 4 minutes, because they're going to come out and they're going to blitz you. They're going to run up and down the floor. They're going to get transition buckets, and you blink and all of a sudden you're down 10.
Yeah, they play fast.
And you've got to be able to dig out of that hole or hope that you don't get in that hole. And that can be a challenging thing at times. Goodland tonight hosting Scott City. We'll have here on Goodland's Rocket 102.5. Should be a pretty couple of evenly matched games. I know Scott City girls having some bad luck to start these. I think they're going to have 3 girls out with concussions. So not good. They could be a little short-handed and they're struggling this year early. So I think that gives the Cowgirls a chance to get some mojo back tonight after getting beat pretty handily by Life Prep. I was looking it up. It's like the largest margin of loss for the Cowgirls since like 2018. It's been a long time since they've been beaten that handily. Now, of course, Life Prep is different than any other program that they faced at that point in time, pretty much. So, it was a lopsided loss. This is a chance, I think, for them to get some mojo back, possibly. And then the boys' game, I think, should be very evenly matched. Both teams have 2 very good high-volume scorers and then some nice role players around them. So I think it ought to be a very entertaining boys' game that's pretty close. And the Cowboys have played a couple of close games here. They've won one, they've lost one, so we'll see how it goes. But GWAC League play resumes tonight around the area with Colby hosting Holcomb and Goodland hosting Scott City, among other games happening throughout the listening area. So there's all that. Okay, let's get to the walk-off and talk some KU basketball.
High drive, deep left, grand slam! And Matt lifts his ball high and deep to right. How about a walk-off Brady? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes swings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
Kansas basketball tonight against Towson. One would think that this would be a Kansas win, but there is news. Coach Bill Self says that star freshman Darren Peterson dealing with quad cramping now.
Oh, no.
Not a hamstring. So his status is uncertain for the game against Towson. This is starting to feel like one of those years like, what could have happened if Darren Peterson could have stayed on the floor for more than 50% of the games? It's starting to feel like that for Kansas basketball.
Well, my thought is this just means Melvin Council Jr. is going to drop 40 tonight. That's what's going to happen. And hey, I will give a quick shout out to Towson. They actually hung with Houston a little bit in a game earlier this year. They did end up losing by 17, but losing by
they
17.
are the favorite in the Colonial, I think is what conference they're in. Whatever conference, they're the favorite to win it, whatever conference they're in.
Yeah, that is the Colonial or the Coastal Athletic Association.
Thank you. I did not know. There you go. They're the favorites at this point, is Towson. Melvin Council Jr., by the way, named Big 12 Player and Newcomer of the Week after that 36-point performance over NC State in overtime. That game will tip off tonight. I think it is at 7 Central, 6 Mountain Time. And, of course, you can hear it on Flyover Country 97.9 or watch it on ESPN2 if you would like to do that. So there you go. By the way, Rob, F&B Bank text line, 785-899-2222 says, this NIL and portal BS has completely ruined college sports for me. Rob, a man after my own heart. I would agree as well, but nothing we can do about it, unfortunately. Nothing we can do about it. The toothpaste is out of the tube. That does it for the program today. For Connor Shue, I'm Ross Volkmer. Thanks to Evan Bland. We're back tomorrow on a Wednesday. Hope you'll join us then. It's been the Morning Blitz. See ya.